Hello and welcome to today's video. Today's video is for Advanced Geometry Chapter 1, Section 8, the coordinate plane. So we're going to have two formulas today which you definitely have seen before, so it's not a very hard section. But there are a couple things I want to mention, and especially for like the distance formula. I do derive this one, but I like to derive it in class. So we start out with the distance formula. The distance d between any 2 points, which we'll call x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2, is the square root of the quantity x squared minus x1 squared plus the quantity x or y2 minus y1 squared. So you're welcome to plug it in this formula and slowly simplify it, but this formula, and this is what we'll derive in class, this is basically the Pythagorean theorem. And the important part to see is that we subtract the two variables, but because we take the square root, or we take the square of it, it doesn't matter which. We could do x1 minus x2, we could do x2 minus x1. So really what we're trying to find is the difference between the x's. And for the other ones, it's the same thing. Because we're squaring it after we do the subtraction, we really don't care if we do y2 minus y1 or y1 minus y2. We end up squaring the number. So really what we're trying to find is these are really both just differences. And I like to keep the numbers positive. Then I don't have to worry about did I subtract negatives in the correct order. And I really like to think of them as distances. So when I do this, I try to simplify it a lot so I don't make as many sign errors. So let me show you an example and show you the way I do it. So if I'm doing this formula, what I do is I take a look at my x numbers and I say how far apart are they? Because that's really what x2 minus x1 is doing when after you square it, it becomes positive. So from 5 to negative 4 is a distance of 9. And from 2 to negative 1 is a distance of 3. And then I just do the Pythagorean theorem on that. So it's the square root of the distance squared plus the other distance squared. We want all answers to be in simplified radical form unless it tells us otherwise. So 81 plus 9, so the square root of 90. There's a perfect square in there. We can break that up into the square root of 9 and the square root of 10. So it becomes 3 root 10. And we don't have any units or anything like that, so I'm just going to put UN. All done. So again, you're welcome to plug it in and put in the negatives and all of that. It should simplify to be the same thing. But for me, I like to say how far apart are the x's, how far apart are the y's, and then I just do the Pythagorean theorem on them. So each morning, Juanita takes the Blue Line subway to Jackson Station, as the map shows. Oak Station is 1 mile west, 2 miles south of the plaza. Jackson Station is 2 miles east, 4 miles north of City Plaza. Find the distance Juanita travels between Oak Station and Jackson Station. So here's Oak, here's Jackson. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the coordinates. So I'm going from negative 1, negative 2, and I'm going to 2, 4. So the difference between my x's is 3. The difference between my y's is 6. And so I'm going to do the square root of 3 squared plus 6 squared. So this is 9. This is 36. Square root of 45. There's 9 in there again, so it's root 9 times root 5. So this will be 3 root 5. And for this one, does it tell me anything about the units? Miles. So all done. Now for this one, if you put it in your calculator and you give me a rounded estimate, that'd be fine. No one talks about 3 root 5 miles if I'm asking someone how far it is. So especially when it's a word problem, when rounding makes sense, you are allowed to put it in your calculator. I will try to on the question to tell you whether you can round or not. But in this case, it does make sense to put it in your calculator and round your answer, because most of us talk at miles in an estimated units. The other formula we have is the midpoint. The midpoint between 2 points is The sum of the x's divided by 2, and that's the x-coordinate, and the sum of the y's divided by 2, and that's the y-coordinate. For this one, the easiest way to remember this one is all it is averages. This is going to, there's 2 x-coordinates, so you're going to take the average of the x's. There are 2 y-coordinates, so you can take the average of the y's, and that's all you're doing for the midpoint formula. So for this one, I just like to think of averages. To find the middle of 2 numbers, you take the average of them. So I want to find the average of 3 and 7, and that's going to be my x. And I want to find the average of 5 and negative 9, and that's going to be my y. So 3 plus 7, 10, divided by 2. 5, negative 9, add them together, you get negative 4. So my midpoint. And you can abbreviate midpoint as MP. So the midpoint is 5, negative 2. The last example I want to do together, because it is a little harder, in this case, they give you the midpoint, and they give you one endpoint, and they want you to find the coordinates of the other point. So make sure in class, if I forget, make sure that we do this problem, because this is, out of all of these, that is one of the tougher ones to do. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.